Hi guys, it's Kristen, Blue Bonnets and Whiskey here. BerryBowlSAL is starting May 1st and I'm super excited, but I've had a lot of questions about how I'm going to stitch my fabrics together. I'm going to stitch my fabrics together before I start stitching because I think it will be easier, and I don't want to have to worry about trying to line everything up afterwards after I have everything on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do it first, and I wanted to show you how I'm going to do it. So the first thing I had to do was calculate what size my fabric needed to be, my pieces. And the stitch count on this is 200 by 200, but each half is 100 by 200. So the first thing I did was put it into my calculator. I'm using 36 count. And so I put it in without borders. So I put in 100 width by 200 height on 36 count, and I got a size that the width needed to be 5.6 inches. And then I add 3 inches border to that. I don't want to add 3 inches to each side because I'm not adding it to the center. I'm just adding 3 inches to the left or the right side. So I added 3 inches to that, and I got 8.6 inches. So I just rounded up to 9, which gives me about a ½ inch seam allowance in the center. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut this first, and I will show you how I'm going to find, because we need about the same number of threads on each side. So I want to cut along a straight line along one thread, and I'll show you how I did that too. So the first thing that I need to do is find 9 inches, but so that it includes the same number of threads all the way down. So on this one, I happen to have a selvage edge, so I measured 9 inches from there, and down here at the bottom, I made a little cut. Oops, I'm trying to get this in, and I pulled one of these threads out from here. I just picked it out, and so what I'm doing is I'm pulling this thread carefully straight out, and you can see where it's making a gap right here. So as I pull this thread, hopefully you'll be able to see that. You'll see that gap appearing. Oh, and I am going to use that as my cut line, okay? Okay, so my pieces are cut. I have one part that I measured 9 inches from the selvage and did it, and the other side didn't have a selvage, so I had to find where one straight strand went all the way from the top that didn't go off the edge and turn, you know, like it was cut not square in the beginning, so I had to make it square first and then measure 9 inches over from that. And look, I accidentally cut this one a little, but that's okay because I'm going to serge. This is going to be my outside edge. So these are my 2 center edges. What you need next is some DMC or other embroidery floss that's long, that's not cut, that blends in well with both of your pieces. I'm using DMC 7, and I haven't cut it yet, but you'll see I want to cut it so that it is longer than my pieces on both ends. It's one long continuous piece, and I'm gonna need multiple strands because I'm gonna do a running stitch, and I'll show you what that is in just a minute. Okay, so what you need to do now is make sure that you choose which side you want your fabric to face, and put your right sides together, because when you open them up, when you open it up, they'll, you know, be the right sides together, and that seam will be on the back. So make sure that you put your right sides together and just line them up as best as you can. It's really not going to make a big difference because on that first couple stitches, we're going to make sure we're on the right holes. We're going to count in threads. So you want to thread your needle with one strand of DMC floss, like I said, extra, not quite double the length, maybe a length and a half of what you're going to stitch, and then do a quilter's knot. And so let me see if I can flip you around. Okay, you're probably not going to be able to see this, but to do a quilter's knot, if you've never done it, and you just want the knot to be at the edge, and that's just to keep it from slipping out while you're working. You don't really, so you're going to take your needle and put the thread in front, so it's backwards for you guys, and I just hold it down with my forefinger like this, so it's kind of like a waterfall. the thread's coming over the needle. And then you're gonna wrap it around once, twice, 3 times. And then you're just gonna pull that back and gently grasp that between your forefinger and your thumb and pull the needle through those, okay? And just pull gently. You don't wanna pinch it hard because you want it to slip through. And then when you get to the end, you just tighten it. And there is a quilter's knot. It's a bigger knot. So there you go. So now for this next bit, let me turn this a little. You are going to count over 12 threads in, okay? Approximately 12 threads. However much your seam allowance you left, I'm good with 12 threads. It gives me a little bit of extra. So I'm gonna count over 12 threads. Put my glasses on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's approximately 12 threads. 12, 13, 14. It doesn't really matter. Okay. And I'm gonna pull my needle all the way through. And I'm starting in about 1/8 of an inch, so it doesn't just pull those threads out the other end. And I'm gonna do the same. So this is the wrong side, this is the right side, this is the right side, and this is the wrong side. So I'm gonna go straight through the sandwich, but it's pulled apart so I can count these threads. 11, 12, 13, 14, 14, 13. We're going through 13 threads. Isn't that what I said? What's one thread? Okay. And then I'm just going to pull the sandwich together. So now that I have that sandwich together, I am going to, there we go. I'm going to go up, let's say 4 threads. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want to look and make sure that I'm going up 4 threads on the next one also. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've essentially gone straight through. And I may have to look the first couple of ones that I do. I want to leave a longer tail. Okay, the first couple ones that I do, just to make sure that they're lining up. But then I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just make sure that it's approximately the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it would probably be easier to do this not on video. So for yourself at home. Okay. And then I'm just gonna do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just want to keep making sure that it's lining up with the one behind it. So do that all the way to the end, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do. Okay, so I finished the running stitch all the way from one end to the other, and you can see it better on this side, so I flipped it over. And so now what I want to do is do a running stitch opposite this. So where I went down through the fabric here, I want to come up. So let me show you, see if I can get a good view. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is this one I went down, so I'm gonna come up. Let me get my glasses on. Okay, so I'm gonna come up where that is, and then I'm going to go, I got another piece just as long, and I'm going to go down in that hole. So what it's going to do is make a stitch that's just opposite. So now I'm going to come up where I went down in that last hole, sorry, and go down. Okay, so sorry that cut off, my daughter called. So you can see how I filled this in. Here's where I have to go. Here's where I was like, this is gonna take forever. And it literally did take me a really long time to get all the way across, but I'm a perfectionist, so I was checking that it was 4 exactly on both sides. So this is where my gap is. I'm gonna go ahead and come up. So what I'm doing is flipping over and looking at the other side. And I'm gonna go in that hole and it's coming up right there. Okay. And then I'm going to go down in this hole. And I just keep checking on the other side to make sure it's going in the same. So I'm gonna come over here, and actually I'm gonna do 2 stitches here because I was lazy. So I'm gonna catch this one up. Don't be lazy. Okay. So now I'm gonna go down in the hole that the other thread comes up. And basically what it's gonna do, like I said, it's just gonna fill this in all the way across so it's a nice straight line. So when I press it open, it's even and the threads are lined up. The linen threads are lined up for my stitches. Okay, you can stop it. Okay, so I have stitched this running stitch. It's a little loose right there, all the way across. And what I'm going to do is knot these ends just to hold it snug. I don't want it to cinch the fabric at all. I just want it to hold that snug. And I am going to press this open like this. You come through here and take an iron and just press the seam open. I don't know if I'm going to press this open back here. I think I'm going to leave it just pressed to one side for now, and then as I'm stitching I'll decide if I want to press it open when I'm done, or we'll see. So I'll be back. Okay, so I finger pressed this open first along a seam and kind of went with my thumbnail, and then I went back with the iron and pressed over it, and here you go. Here are my 2 pieces stitched together, and I think I'm going to start in the middle with the cartouche and then work out from there. So, and hopefully as I stretch this, when it goes to be framed, it won't look so wonky, because that is straight along one thread. I was very careful on the back side, but there you go. And I'm not worried about it being off down here because this is just going to be caught up in the borders. So I hope that helps someone.